1 of the Texas Open Meeting Act to meet with his attorney to seek legal advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the City Council under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meeting Act relating to annexation proceedings and industrial districts. We'll be back. reconvene open session at 6:09, and we'll take it to Roxana.
Mayor and City Council members, if I may speak, Mayor. Thank you, sir. My name is Roxanne Paez Cotroneo, and I am the Aransas Pass City Attorney. Tonight, the City Council has asked me to provide you with a presentation regarding the city's intent and reasons for annexing both Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3. As we discuss that, I'd like for you to know that there is a map that I'm going to be referring to, both sides of the room. Since I can't be in two places at one, I will be staying on this side and pointing to the various things as I explain what is happening in our city. Not too long ago, on March 19th, the city of Aransas Pass was just as surprised as you were when we learned that the city of Corpus Christi was annexing across the bay and into the Portland-Gregory area. They initiated annexation of a 1,500-acre tract. The following week, just a week later, the city of Corpus Christi yet again met and also began annexation of now what was a 5,700-acre tract. What it looked like at the time to the city of Aransas Pass that week after week, Corpus was starting to annex. And so we had to take action and take a look at what was happening. I want you to take a look at this map, and on this map that has been prepared, you will see a hot pink area. This hot pink area is the annexed land that Corpus Christi initiated back on March the 19th and March the 26th. I want to talk to you about annexation and what is called extraterritorial jurisdiction. Extraterritorial jurisdiction is often referred to as ETJ. Under state law, a city has an extraterritorial jurisdiction based on the population size. An ETJ is an area outside of its city limits that's based on a radius. Corpus Christi, based on its population, has an ETJ of 5 miles. Aransas Pass, based on its population, has an ETJ radius of 1 mile. So let's take a look at the annexed area. What I want you to see on this map is this light blue area is where the Corpus Christi's current city limits are. And as they annex the pink area, you will now see that the blue, the darker blue, is their 5 mile radius. I want you to focus now on Aransas Pass. Aransas Pass city limits are the darker purple area that you see, because our mile radius is in a lighter pink area around the city limits. Now that you see Aransas Pass city limits and you see Corpus Christi's ETJ limit, I want you to see that Corpus Christi was coming around to Aransas Pass, not only from the Gregory side, but was also coming from the shoreline side and coming up. It almost looks like it's this thing that's trying to engulf and completely surround Aransas Pass. One of the things I want you to note about this map is that Corpus Christi, by annexing this land, has already totally surrounded Portland, so Portland's not going to grow anymore. It has totally surrounded Gregory, so Gregory's not going to grow anymore. It has totally surrounded Ingleside, so Ingleside's not going to grow anymore. Had they annexed just a couple of more tracts over to the east, which they could have done at the time limit that we were looking at this and can still do today, they would have picked this tracts up, and the tracts that they would have picked up are the same people who own the tracts in the pink area. So it would have been easy to do. If they would have picked up the tracks over, this balloon blue area would have spread out more and completely engulfed the white area that you see on this map. Let's now take a look, because I want you to zoom in. We're going to zoom in, hold on. We're going to zoom into a particular area of this map. We were concerned for two reasons as a city council to begin annexation proceedings. One of the reasons is we were afraid of being encroached and surrounded by Corpus Christi, and Corpus Christi making those rules. The second reason we began the initiation of the annexation was because at Aransas Pass we do want to grow and have economic development growth for the people here. So the will of the people needs to be available for us to be able to economically develop that area. In order to do that, we have to annex it. I want to talk about the ETJ one more time. As we zoom in, I'm going to have you zoom in on this circular area. Does everyone see that? The circular area right here. Let's zoom in. The old-fashioned way. Here is that circular area. This white area right here, you see where Rockport is, you see where Aransas Pass is, and the Corpus Christi. This white area becomes kind of like no man's land. Nobody has city limits in it or ETJs. The reality is had they annexed, like I said, over to the east, they could have picked up the rest of this. Right? Not only could that have happened, but let's talk about Aransas Pass ETJ. I've heard a lot of people say Corpus Christi cannot annex into Aransas Pass's ETJ. And you are correct. They cannot. What you don't understand, perhaps, is the other part of the law. And that is, not even a city's own ETJ can be regulated by their building codes, enforcement codes, or development codes to protect the economic development growth. So in reality, this light pink area and the white area will all become industrial. And for those of you who live in those areas, and it is, we have,
Let's keep the iceberg down.
we have,
Okay, let's let her talk.
we know that there is the shoreline. And the shoreline is very valuable in the Aransas Pass area. In fact, almost 2/3 of the city is in water. This entire area shoreline right here, almost all of it, is actually advertised right now for barge use and other industrial use. There's proof of that. You can Google, you'll find it yourself. With that said, if Aransas Pass residents want to maintain what happens and how this area develops, then the city of Aransas Pass must initiate the annexation, as they have done, and they must continue with the public hearings, and a decision needs to be made on whether or not to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna open up the public hearing.
Service plan.
Mayor, I'm going to request that at this time, the city manager present the service plan for Phase 1 annexations.
We're ready to go with the service plan if the mayor and council are. The purpose of a service plan is to present to the public the city's plan for providing city services to the proposed annexed areas. Originally, this was the area to be annexed in Phase 1, and again tonight we are here for Phase 1 and Phase 1 only. That's the purpose for the public hearing tonight. This was the original proposal. This is what we're looking at now. a much reduced area. This is the amended Phase 1. That's what we're looking at now for eventual, if the council agrees, approval. So how will that area, this area that you see in green, how will that be impacted by the service plan? How do we address that? In the case of water and sewer, if everybody in Phase 1 wanted to take advantage of the water and sewer, and for us to extend lines, the cost would be $6,576,671.71. 6.5, in other words. That's the cost if everybody were to take advantage of that. And we have passed out charts for everyone. We've passed out the PowerPoint so you can see the issues we're talking about. So the timeline and funding for water and sewer. We plan to have water and sewer installed in Phase 1 by the end of 2.5 years from the date of annexation proposal. The city will pursue grant funding from sources such as the Texas Water Development Board and the Community Development Block Grant. Other granting options will also be reviewed. The Texas Water Development Board may be our best option. The Texas Water Development Board likes to work with cities as far as extending their water and sewer lines. We think that is our best option. The expenses associated with construction can be phased in. In other words, the debt service can be phased in and would not hit us so hard. We can do this incrementally, in other words, not all at one time. City budgetary funding will assist with any funding gaps not covered by grants. Certificates of participation, another option, but we have to weigh debt service requirements with this project against current debt service. In other words, we don't want to be too debt heavy. Roads and timeline. The current county roads would become city roads upon annexation approval and would be maintained by city budgetary funds and grant dollars when available.
Okay, I'm no longer going to stand for outbursts like that. Okay, we all need to be adults and pay attention to what he's saying, and we get back to public hearing, and everybody can get a chance to come up here and speak. I don't need any kind of outburst out there like that.
A significant portion of Jacoby Lane is in Phase 1, the phase we're talking about tonight. Jacoby Lane is in good condition and will not take extensive maintenance at this time and in the near future. Jacoby Lane probably will take about, according to our calculations, for the immediate future, about $800 to maintain. This is not looking at the long term, however. It would require more in the long term. This would be worked into the city's operational budget. Only a portion of Banty Lane is in Phase 1, a fairly small portion. Banty is in good shape. However, Aransas County is working on a grant to repair Banty Lane. Funds for the portion that is in Phase 1 would come from the operational budget and or grants. What is that? Oh, okay. I meant to say not in good shape. Apologize. Aransas, or the timeline and funding for the EMS service. The city of Aransas Pass has a contract with Tri-County EMS Ambulance to provide service to all the area within the city limits. That's our contract with them. Tri-County EMS will automatically and immediately extend its service to any newly annexed areas. No upfront cost will be needed. However, when we are presented with a new contract prior to the beginning of the upcoming fiscal year, there will be a proposed cost increase to cover the newly annexed areas. What that's going to be, we don't know at this particular point. Could be a small amount, could be a larger amount. We just don't know. Police and emergency communications, something that everyone frequently asks about. Police service to the newly annexed areas, both Phase 1 and 2, will be provided immediately. However, as soon as possible, steps must be taken to strengthen this service. Communications is a top priority for public safety. Consequently, for Phase 1 and Phase 2, 2 dispatchers will be needed in order to provide coverage. Mention phase 2 there because that's when they'll be needed. What portion of that for phase 1 only, that we can't say for sure, but we anticipate that would be a smaller cost for phase 1 only. Estimated cost approximately $106,704 annually. At this point, it's not known how many additional police officers will be needed. An analysis of needs within the police department and within the newly annexed area will be provided after it is determined the impact these added areas will have on police manpower. No way to know that until calls start coming in and we're able to analyze at this point. We can't be out there taking calls since it's not in the city limits at this point. Fire protection will be provided immediately to the newly annexed areas. However, as soon as possible, steps must be taken to strengthen this service. 6 additional personnel will be needed as soon as funding is available, which will bring 3 shifts to 6-man crews in the cost of 6 additional firefighters, $342,816. A grant I have worked with before and a grant that the fire chief has worked with before is a SAFER grant. That's a grant that pays for personnel on a incremental basis, I guess you can say, where they start paying everything up front and then phases out as time progresses. That is going to be our best bet for getting additional personnel. We already have a new a fire truck, which is desperately needed here in Aransas Pass. That is on order right now. That will help us in many different areas and will help the ISO rating also for people within the city limits. Aransas Pass garbage pickup service. The city of Aransas Pass has a contract with Absolute Waste Services. Absolute Waste will cover any annexed areas. In other words, they will provide service to the phase 1 area immediately after phase 1 is approved. The cost will be residential, $33.27 per month. That includes also the fire, EMS, and drainage. And the senior rate, $32.63, which includes fire, EMS, and drainage. Here's the estimated revenue. It's frequently said that a lot of dollars are being received from this. The property tax valuation for this area is $4.2 million. That calculates to be income for the city of $32,617.61. The estimated revenue from utility hookups based on all of the potential connections, assuming all of the connections are made, $34,080. That's the revenue from phase 1. In summary, police and fire can provide services immediately, not a year from now, not 2 years from now, immediately upon phase 1 annexation approval. But in the upcoming budgets, these departments will need additional resources. Estimated combined police and fire costs for upcoming budgets is $449,520. Looking at phase 1 alone, it may be possible to decrease that cost for a period of time unless other annexation, unless phase 2 goes in. And then, of course, it would be up to that $449,520. EMS can provide services immediately upon annexation approval. It is anticipated that an increase in cost will occur in the next budget. That cost is unknown at this time. No way for them to know that at this time. Water and sewer will be provided to phase 1 within 2.5 years, the required time. The cost will be $6,576,671.67, or $6.5 million. County roads in phase 1 will become city roads and maintained by the city within the city's operational budget. For the next 5 years, the cost should be minimal. However, the roads in the area will become part of the city's annual street repair program, and that's an annual program we have. Again, the revenue, property tax $32,617, utility connections $34,080. That's the revenue from property tax and utility connections. And that is the report, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Okay, now, I'm going to open up a public hearing, and every person's got 3 minutes to come up and speak. You have one turn, and you have 3 minutes to speak, and that way we can get everybody and give everybody a chance to be able to come up here and speak and say their part. Yes, and please state your name and address when you come up. And Mary's going to be taking the time on it, and the buzzer will go off when your 3 minutes are up.
My name is Daniel Jimenez. I live at 140 North Arch. I waited till the last yesterday. I ran out of time. But anyway, I kind of wrote down some stuff so I wouldn't lose my train of thought. The Sherwood Forest area was annexed over 3 years ago, and we still don't have city sewer out there. So it's exceeded the 2.5-year time period. Basically because nothing was budgeted for the area other than the hopes for a grant. And the grant process, from what I understand, takes years. It's actually been 2 years since they applied for the grant, and we just got it. That's my understanding. We were promised free sewer tap fees, and that the lines were going to be run from the houses to the existing lines. That was after we were told that they had applied for a grant. Originally, we were told that they were going to run 2 lines and that the property owners were going to have to connect at their own expense if they were within a mile of the existing line. And that was one of our biggest issues because we read the law to indicate that the city could not charge the landowners for the infrastructure. Another issue that came up is the sewer treatment plant. That it's reaching a point where the city's going to have to start budgeting money to repair it, rebuild it, or build another one in our existing plant. Is this expansion to the north side going to require another sewer treatment plant? The previous city manager put forth, she actually brought an engineer to come forth, and he gave estimates that to develop the north side they would have to build 40 million treatment plant, and to expand towards the north side would basically cost almost $500 million. For that small area that we're trying to salvage, I don't see $6 million and $400 added to the budget is worth that little area that we're trying to protect. But that's my personal opinion. Because if if Corpus Christi annexes the blue area, that's their ETJ. I don't see how we can stop it. They get that little area, but why should we be spending an additional $400,000 in our budget and additional $6 million? The grant that we received for the Sherwood Forest areas, my understanding was that the city manager said it was $1 million. I don't know that that's going to cover everybody in the Sherwood Forest area, because there's over 100 homes there and businesses, and right now we're just talking about 50. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Vossler, and 2480 Bentwood Lane. I was just wondering, what was the reason for the gap in Jacoby Lane that they're not annexing? How come they didn't annex the entire Jacoby Lane? Does anybody know?
Roxanne, can you explain?
When we found out that the city of Corpus Christi began the initiation of those annexations, we had to act swiftly and immediately. And so that was the initial phase 1, the yellow map area that you see. We began to receive comments, and after we began to review and analyze, we decided that
we could still accomplish that goal if we reducing the number of annexed areas. So we have, in the green proposed map that you see,
Yeah.
those are the areas that meet all of the state law requirements in order to be annexed and rolled in and still meet that accomplishment. Those are the minimum ones that we can take.
So you're going to have city water start and stop on Jacoby Lane? I don't see construction-wise how that's going to work. And then you didn't even annex all the way to the 35, so I don't know. It doesn't make sense. You're going to set up a small sewage treatment plant for that little area? Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a...
No, sir, I'm just the lawyer. I'm the lawyer that responds to the questions for the city of Aransas Pass. If you have other questions, you'll need to talk to the...
Doesn't make sense.
We're here to hear the comments.
Wayne Lake, 108 Dolphin Court. I live in Aransas Pass. I'm trying to make sense of the economics. I can understand trying to keep Corpus away from Aransas Pass, but at a cost of $6.5 million and a revenue of $32,000 a year, I mean, from an ROI standpoint, that's 200 years to pay for that endeavor. And I can't get my arms around the economics of that aspect. Now, I welcome any, I mean, how do you make up that gap without raising my taxes? I guess, you know, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it specifically for where I'm coming from. And then you throw in there, I mean, let's face it, folks, we don't take care of what we've got. You can make a long list, but that's the other economic aspect of it all. We're not taking care of what we've already got.
Say something.
I mean, I don't understand the economics of it. So I welcome any comments.
Ricky Mesh, 1051 Jacoby Lane. Y'all talk about annexing our area. Fine. But it's still not pushing anything out to protect us from Corpus circling us. There's still a wide area. There's still area for them to grow. Just to try to protect us, let us be. We live in our town. We like the town like it is. Focus your money on the city. Thank you.
I'm just going to keep quiet.
Mayor, Council, thank you for hearing us today. My name is Linda Doan. I live on Rabbit Run Road. I am part of the area that you plan to annex. My family and I moved here 5 years ago with the plan of buying some land and building a home. We considered settling in Aransas Pass, but shortly after we started looking for land, you passed new building codes, tightening your grip on residential homes and forcing us to look elsewhere. To build in Aransas Pass would have increased the cost beyond what we could afford because of big government. So we chose to build in the country, just like all the rest of the people here, for freedom. Freedom from big government regulations, freedom to raise animals, have bonfires, and basically do what we want with our land because it's our land. By your own admission, Corpus Christi cannot annex your ETJ. No one buys that you want to stop industry from moving into our area either. As a matter of fact, from a logical standpoint, industry is moving into this area. And it's most likely what you're hoping to benefit from. It seems to me, though, you're wanting to put up walls when you haven't even set the foundation yet. Any successful builder, business owner, or city council knows without a sturdy foundation, the walls crumble when the storms come. You can't even manage what you already have. Your streets are in disrepair, your city water is always under a water boil, and you have lots of empty land already waiting to be developed with no sign of industry growth. Your time, energy, and resources would serve your current residents a lot better if you made some changes that would attract big businesses, provide affordable housing for workers, and clean up the town. I know you've already heard this, but you have nothing to offer us, and this action isn't going to fix your roads, your utilities, or provide jobs and affordable housing for your residents. As a matter of fact, it might even accomplish the opposite of what you're hoping for. Your city codes are so stringent, most businesses are not going to move here until you loosen your grip. Maybe you should ask yourselves why every other community is actually growing with the industry coming this way, and yet yours isn't. It's not from a lack of land. You have far more than Ingleside does. We moved to Texas to escape the overreaching government trend that's taking over our nation. What you're doing here is no different from what our founding fathers fought against, taxation without representation. I know the old saying, you can't fight City Hall, and it's even harder when City Hall doesn't represent you. But we aren't going away, and it's time you remember who you work for. We may not be able to fight City Hall, but if you annex us in, you're giving us the ability and the strength to change City Hall. Remember that if you don't remember anything else when you make your vote, please, and thank you.
My name's Martha Hoblitzel. I live in Ingleside, P.O. Box 1185. The first thing I want to address are all the unknowns. Something will be taken care of if the money's there. This can't be known until we do that. That can't be known until we do that. It's projected. You have too many unanswered questions. The second thing I want to address is for my son, Mike Dio. He's wanted to be here and he's watched the live stream in the evenings. He's concerned about the trees. No one's mentioned the trees. Aransas County has a requirement that people get permits to cut down trees. Anyone in the area has watched the previous city manager have the trees cut, the beautiful old oak trees cut down and palm trees planted in their places. Are you going to honor Aransas County's requirement for trees to be removed? You're not just working in San Patricio County. You'll be, if you annex that, it'll be Aransas County. You will have to honor the beauty of the oak trees. Another thing I want to address, there's going to come a time, even if you annex that, you're going to be up against Rockport. You can't grow past that. You can't grow past Gregory. You can't grow past Houston. You can't grow past Austin. Sometime you're going to be locked in. I say you can't fix what you got now because I have the property on Pacific, not Atlantic. A man back here has property on a railroad. I can't even get an address for my 6 lots. I've called here 3 times. I can't even get an address. They can't tell me if it's 400 block, 500 block, 600 block, north or south Pacific. What I suggest, you've got more than you can handle right now. We all know it. You've got streets that's not maintained, sewage that doesn't work. You have drainage problems. Why don't you work to get something into Con Brown Harbor fix that up, develop what you have. You don't have to grow. I mean, I'm 65. I can grow this way or not. You don't have to grow anymore.
Time is up.
Fix what you got.
My name's Melissa Escobar, 2451 Murphy Road. Sorry, I got allergies today, so it's kind of hard to hear me. Hearing a lot about Corpus. Corpus is going to come in, so I think we've got the gist of that. Corpus is going to surround us. So that's a big concern here. You can't hear me at all? No? Okay, can you hear me now? No? How about now? Okay, good. Anyway, Corpus is going to come in and surround us. There, some of the things that's been put out on social media by some of our council members, one of them is the council, mayor, and staff of Aransas Pass will do everything possible to protect our city limits and ETJ from being annexed by Corpus, or ETJ annexed by Corpus. Another one that was put out was declared city's intent to begin annexation proceedings of up to 1,874 acres of land into the ETJ of the city of Aransas Pass. Bottom line are we were protecting our ETJ, our 1 mile radius, from being annexed by Corpus Christi. There was also a meeting on April 15th where the city's attorney said, but that's not the only thing that needs protection, because when we annex phase 1, our ETJ will go out and protect us from Corpus coming into our ETJ. That's verbatim. I transcribed that meeting. We've already concluded today that the ETJ cannot be encroached upon by or taken over by the city of Corpus Christi. That's in the law. So we've already concluded that. These are the things that was put out to the public that caused fear in the community. There was also other things that was put out. The city of Aransas Pass made a post where they put that map, and they said, again, the goal is to put up a buffer to stop Corpus from annexing all around AP. I get that. The problem is phase 3. When you look at this map over here, you will see on the west side of the city of Aransas Pass, that point right there. As you can see, our ETJ, Corpus, when they do their annexation on May 21st, you see the blue area? There is nowhere for our ETJ to expand out. So when you annex phase 3 right there, you're actually going to absorb some of our ETJ, and you're going to put our city limits right with Corpus Christi. So where's our buffer at? The whole reason for this is to create a buffer. This is what we've been told. But you're actually engaging in an annexation that's going to absorb that buffer and put us toe-to-toe with the city limits of Corpus Christi. So I'm not buying any of this. None of this makes any sense. The one thing I will say, she said, your city attorney, one reason was to protect us from intrusion of Corpus, and the other one was to protect our will of the people for economic development growth. But if you came to the meeting on March 15th, what you heard from the city attorney was the problem is that there's a House bill. House Bill 347 is a bill that will prohibit cities from annexing ever, no matter what size you are, unless you have permission from the people you intend to annex. As recently as 42 hours ago, Lobby interacted with the author, State Representative King, and they added a provision in that bill that said if a city had initiated proceeding by resolution, established annexation, they're accepted from not annexing. What this means is cities are on a clock to annex as much as they can. Right now, there are areas of the bypass, even after phase 1.
Time is up.
The coastline at our ETJ.
Your time is up, ma'am.
This is not. I can have your 3 minutes then. What's your name?
No. It's only one at a time. We need to
Okay.
keep order
No, no,
now.
no.
We're not going to start getting out of control. It's one at a time, and only one person can speak 3 minutes.
Does she need to come up here?
Yes,
So I can
yes, ma'am.
advocate for her?
Sure enough. No. She needs to come up here.
I can't advocate for her?
No. No.
I believe that.
I wanted to settle down.
Roxanne to give the legal.
I wanted to settle down.
So I can't advocate with a person with disabilities. And you're removing me from the meeting.
disabled. Absolutely.
You're talking.
I'm talking, but I'm disabled.
I understand, but you talk, you're talking loud, you talk easier. Okay, we need to stop interrupting the meeting. If you'd like to speak, you can speak. But you can't speak for yourself.
That's Jack.
No, It's a public hearing, and we're trying to give every single person a chance to come here and speak. Now, you can come up here and take your turn for 3 minutes and speak. And that's here what we're doing. We're hearing whatever your comments are, and then we'll take it back. If you want, you can come up here.
I'm just saying, the city attorney speaks for y'all. She's got everybody.
So can you come up here? State your name.
But she's got everybody permission to speak for us all.
No.
All this stuff right here, y'all are coming in here wanting to take our livelihood.
Can you say your
away
name?
from us.
State your name and your address.
My name is Darrell Poole. Where I live is irrelevant to this.
Yes, it does.
I
You need to
live
state
in
your
the
name
city
and your
of
address.
Aransas Pass.
You need to state your name and your address.
I live in the city of Aransas Pass. My name is Darrell Poole. I did some research just on Bandy Lane, on my street. Just today, just to come up for y'all to come in there and start putting in a road or sewage or any, y'all are looking at $600,000. I do road work, I do subdivisions and all this stuff for a living. You guys can't even come close in 4 years to come close to fixing any of those problems out there. Hell, y'all can't even fix McCampbell that you haven't been able to go through for over a year and a half. It's barricaded up. You got to go other way. Aransas County and Sheriff Mills does us great for police protection. Our fire departments take real good care of us out there. We don't need the city of Aransas Pass coming invading our privacy and our territory. We got kids that like to ride their four-wheelers. We've got kids that like to pop fireworks out there. Y'all are going to take every damn bit of that away from us and say where we got to go to have fun and enjoy our lives. It's all wrong. You are all wrong for even thinking about something like this.
It's either us or workers. One or the other.
Jesse Martinez, North McCampbell. And I've known y'all ever since you guys were little small. I mean, Billy, Carrie, Vicky. I've been here since 1967. I worked for AEP, the power company, for 40 years, retired here. I made my living here. And I've been in this community, like I said, 52 years. In 52 years, I have not seen the city of Aransas Pass do a lot more than what we've done lately. If it would not have been for Hurricane Harvey, we would have not tore down 39 houses. It looks like crap. Excuse my French, I'm sorry. But the streets are in disarray. Some of the council members are saying we're against annexation. However, when you vote unanimously for annexation. What is going on? Are you speaking with a forked tongue or what? You need to understand that we represent the north side and probably the west side. I respect each one of you as individuals. Y'all are great people as individuals, but you also need to remember Aransas Pass and not to be north side does not need to be annexed. You cannot keep up with what you have in town. You cannot drive down North McCampbell. There's cones on Stapp Street, McMyrtle Street. Have any of y'all driven the annexed area? Have you driven, attorney? Have you driven the annexed area? You're not from here, right? You're from San Antonio? So you have no idea. So how many of y'all have driven the area?
I'm going to answer that, Mayor. Mayor,
Have y'all
I'd like to
driven it?
answer
Have-
that.
Have you driven it in a
I have
regular-
grown up in the area. Thank you.
in a regular car? Have y'all driven in a regular car? Do you have any issues going across some of the roads?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Aransas Pass can fulfill that promise? 6.5 million is going to take 200 years, like the gentleman said, to get the revenue back. And if we get grants and if we get this. However, thank you for your time. I respect what y'all are doing. However, respect our opinion also.
We are.
Thank you.
My name's Eric Kindervater. I live at 102 Hazlet. My family has property on Jacoby, and we also have property on 1069. I've been over here in this town for well over 30 years. All right, raised 4 kids. 3 of them don't want no part of this town. I've also been in business for 30 some odd years. And I've sat and I've watched this town run people out left and right. You know, when I came to this town, things were in bad shape. They've never gotten fixed. And then you're telling me you're going to get grants and you're going to fix everything out there just fine, while the middle of the town is collapsing like a donut. Y'all would be ashamed of yourselves. This place was built on independence.
I'll tell you what, it takes more than 2 years to fix the stuff that we have.
Sir, I've been here 35 years.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? It still floods at Cleveland Commercial. I still have sewer coming up the downstairs bathroom. I still have cockroaches coming out of the manhole cover. Come on.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Doug Jackson, and I'm over at 453 Banty Lane. My concern is this is got a capital budget. Pardon me. My concern is this has a capital budget immediately of $6.5 million, but it also seems to indicate there's about $300 to $400,000 a year in continuing expenses on top of that. So a 10-year cost of this deal is approximately $10 or $12 million, and that's not including expenses such as street repair and et cetera, you know, in an ongoing manner. So this is very expensive. It's very a very poor investment. Thank you.
Is anybody else? Okay. I'll make a motion. No. I declare the public hearing closed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
And we thank you all for your comments.